Building materials manufacturers run a complex business, but we are here to help you plan for the future. Whether you are launching a new product, rebuilding a brand, trying to get thoughtful communication strategies in place, or everything in between. Here on Constructing Brands, we will be talking with leading experts in construction, architecture, engineering, marketing, and manufacturing to help make your building materials company stronger and more profitable. With 15 plus years of experience helping building materials companies succeed and grow, your host, Eric Linnell.
Good morning and welcome to Constructing Brands. This is the place where we get to talk to the people who are responsible for making decisions that will help you understand the building material manufacturer, what and how they're thinking and what they're doing. I have a great guest today, Judy Tarrant. Judy is an interior designer. Judy comes to us in a really great way. She's someone who did real estate before becoming an interior designer, so really understands how to stage, how to look at property to get it sold, bought, rented. Judy looks at commercial space, residential space. So I think we're going to get some really great insight from Judy. Judy, welcome to Constructing Brands.
Hey, Eric, thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So Judy, tell us a little bit about yourself. I gave our audience just a quick kind of recap. Commercial, residential, what would you say your time spent?
Let me just introduce myself to the audience. My name is Judy Tarrant. I am an interior designer. I work with Iconica Design Studio. I will say that my time is better spent, and I don't think that better spent is really the word for it, but what we do is we are a holistic interior design firm. So you bring us into your space, so your residential home or your commercial space, so hotels, restaurants, and all of the above. And our objective is to come in there and, create a lifestyle for you. So not only is it the way that you're living, it's the way that you walk into a restaurant or a hotel or a boutique shop and you walk in, and we are providing that lifestyle.
So it's basically how people feel. So you tap into not only the physical, what it looks like, but the visceral reaction people are getting to it.
Correct.
I know we were speaking before, and you were mentioning to me how you've got such an emphasis on kind of healthy living, and a lot of your design and a lot of the products in which you're choosing for your clients fit around the whole kind of good for the world, good for the body, good for the person thing.
Definitely luxury design for better living, right? Because we want that. We really want to incorporate the better living. I'd say it's a very coveted lifestyle, right? Because we are conscious about the materials that we're using in your space. So that means if I'm designing your bathroom or your commercial space, and I'm picking out all the hard finishes, I want to make sure that they're coming from good sources. I want to make sure that they are responsibly sourced. I want to make sure that we're not ordering something that's being made by forced labor, or we want to make sure it's better for the environment. So that is something that we take into consideration very seriously for every project that we work on. So I would tell you that my time is or my strengths in what my company does is I can look at architectural plans, and I'll tell you that since I was a child, I would walk into a space and be like, you should really knock that wall down. You should really let's break that down because the flow doesn't make sense, right? So whether it's residential or commercial, my strength is in your hard finishes. It's creating your kitchens, your bathrooms, your ADA compliant apartments, your lobbies, where anything that has to do with building, that's where I'm strong at. And then, as you know, Eric, I work with Lana, Lana Mazer, who is an incredible partner to me, and her strengths are in like the softer finishes. So anything that has to do with like picking out your furniture, picking out your curtains, anything that's like a soft finish, that's where she and I come to play together, because it's the best of both worlds, where we play on each other's strengths and our weaknesses, and where I'm weak, she's strong, and where she's weak, I'm strong.
So let's talk about hard finishes, and I think that's a great. Thank you for that kind of introduction, because my audience are the people who are creating the products that you're looking at for the most part, right? When we talk about hard finishes, whether it's with the now larger window curtain, there's more opportunity, and you're now kind of getting involved with the window covering, for instance.
Yes.
Or the actual, what is the wall going to look like, not from a paint standpoint, but from a hardscape standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Are we actually, so now when we talk about that, my first question for you, and I'm starting 2022 off with this question for everyone we speak to, whether it be an architect, a designer, a facility manager, what is the big thing that you're noticing right now coming into 2022 that's different than you've noticed in like 2019, 2020? Like, what is the big difference in design, in your case, design, hard finishes, that you're thinking about for your clients that maybe wasn't as important, or you weren't as fixated on a couple of years ago?
That's actually a really good question, and I'm going to actually take it back to cost for you, right? Because when I work with the real estate developer, all they care about is cost. And because of COVID, we were having supply chain issues. So I'm getting emails every single day that's saying, "Hey, we are increasing the cost for you. We're sorry about this, but like we have to increase the cost because we have problems getting materials."
Right.
So like, today that's where my concerns are, because like everything, right? Lumber, like 2x4s, they went up from what? They were $20 and now they're 98 for a piece of lumber, right? Right. It makes it really hard. It makes it really hard to like price out jobs, especially when I'm trying to work. And like in 2 weeks, I get a email that says, "Hey, all of the products that you just priced out are 10% higher," and now I have to like break it back. I have to bring it back to like my client and say, "Sorry about that," but
so what do you do? So okay, so it sounds like the first thing that jumps out at you is that all the products that you're working with, not only are they costing more, but they're actually fluctuating so quickly that you can't even put you don't have a number on it. So it's funny, I was just on the phone with a distributor who was telling me, and we were going over their plan for the year, and part of what they were talking about is how designers and contractors are working with their products. So how are you working with your customers to keep them your customers, right? To keep them, still trusting and liking you?
Because that is a thing, right? So when I have to go back to somebody and say, "Hey, listen, the price just went up 10%, like they're losing trust in me.
Right.
So what I have been doing is I'm literally looking at supplies that are in stock that I can order quickly and I can receive quickly. So Lana and I, like, we have been sourcing a lot of materials that are locally made. So, locally sourced products are like high on the priority list for like what we're doing, just to make sure that we're not losing the trust in our clients.
Now, is it locally created, or is it that it's on where you can actually purchase it because it's distributed locally? You know what I mean? There's a difference.
Locally created.
Okay.
Now that we expanded into the Los Angeles market, so now we have our East Coast present, but we also have our West Coast present.
Right.
So what's happening is, obviously I have a lot of East Coast connections, so I use a lot of those people and they're able to ship it, but it's made in the US and it's in stock and it's ready for me
But
ready for me.
so let me push back on you. If I had a product that I wasn't manufacturing here, but I was manufacturing overseas, but I was warehousing here, and you could get
If
it.
you had a massive supply,
If I'd supply here, would that be something that
as
you'd
long
be
as
interested?
as long as it's sustainable, as long as it's
Of
ethically
course.
made, then yeah, the products that we will.
So I'm hearing the first thing I'm hearing is for you to kind of control and understand and work with your customers and keep at a level that you feel comfortable. Part of your kind of like checklist today that's different than in the past is obviously it has to fit within your brand, right? It has to be sustainable. It has to hit all those criteria. But then the next part of it is, do you have it in stock? Is it at a distribution point where I know I could get it? Right. That's kind of that's the first thing.
2 to 3 years ago, it didn't matter, right?
Right.
Like I could order supplies and I'd know that like my supplies is like it's ready to go. Like it doesn't matter if I order it or I hold off 6 months, right? But now, because of the supply chain issues, like development projects are taking a lot longer, right? There's projects that I've worked on that they should have been done 2 years ago. They should have been done a year and a half ago.
Right.
And to date, they are still not completed because of the supply chain problems, right?
So let me ask you this, and this actually fits in with a conversation I just had, which is really interesting, I think. Are you now are you buying products when they're available, even though you can't do the full job? So for instance, give you an example. I have you into my building and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, well, I want to push this wall out. I want to open this up. I want an archway over here. I want to extend. I want a big window curtain here. I want to, extend and make the ceiling a little bit bigger. I want to take your floors out and do this with the floors. So you have that game plan and you have it all sketched out. And then you say to me, okay, the floors, I could get your floors in today, but your windows aren't going to be available for 4 months from now.
Yes.
And so as you're doing this, are you going to order the floors today if they're available? Or are you going to wait and kind of try to plan it where you could kind of have it all come together?
I know what's going to happen is that I'm going to wait. If I wait, then I'm not going to have floors to install.
Right. So how are you kind of selling your customers on, hey, this project's going to be a 6-month project, but we need to buy the floors right now because they're in stock?
It's a good question. So we actually have a receiving warehouse, so we will receive all of the products, and then when all of the products are in hand, then we can get started. So it's like, yes, we're selling them on like, hey, listen, there's a lot of planning, but we will get started as soon as we receive everything. Got
it. So you're using warehousing to kind of to keep on, which is smart. And that's probably a brand new expense that you have that you didn't have a couple of years ago, because you could probably coordinate that shipping, and now you can't.
Yes, exactly. Or even like now we're actually passing off some of that expense because it is very expensive, and we have these open conversations with our clients that, hey, listen, this is just what we are faced with.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. So it sounds like the number one thing that you're noticing, and gosh, the whole world is, so I get it, is between supply chain issues and is managing not only rising costs or varying costs, but also how to manage your inventory as it comes in. Anything else jump out at you as a big, are you seeing more sustainable products? Are you seeing, like, what about in your market specific?
No, that's a very good question. And I will say that I feel like I'm seeing a lot of articles and I'm seeing a lot of like things saying, what is the trend for 2022? And so people are saying, the trend is sustainability. But to me, I don't think that should be a trend, right? Like it should just be a fact, right? We obviously have, look at what's happening right now in Jersey, right? Like the weather's insane. I'm in LA, it's been raining nonstop. So
Oh yeah, I mean we had. I mean, if you're in Tennessee, you had a huge hurricane come through last week, right? If you're in, I mean, if you're in Boulder, you had fires. You had fires burn down half of Boulder County. You had. It's
20
a weird
years
time,
ago.
yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, the trend is sustainability. But I don't think that should be a trend. I think it's just the way that we should all move forward in the way that we want to protect like the earth, right?
So is there anything, so point well taken, and just kind of to solidify that, I think what you're saying is sustainability is here and it's loud, but let's not make it something that's new. Let's make it something that is just, it's almost like a barrier of entry, it sounds like, right? It needs to be just part of the conversation, not a unique thing.
Right.
So now the
Right. And
next
it shouldn't be like a luxury thing, right? It's not like this is like my iPhone that I just bought and it's brand new. Like, no, it should just be like, we all need to be thinking about like,
yeah, right.
First of all, if I furniture in your house, like you don't want that sofa that I bought from you that was super inexpensive and poorly made, like to off gas for the next 10 years when you have your kids and your dogs. Like, you know, my dog licks my couch. Do I want my dog licking a toxic material? No.
Well, that's a whole other conversation. You got to train your dog, but okay, I understand your point.
Yeah, I mean, at this age, there's no more. Like, it's just like licking the paws and then you're licking the couch. Like,
I get it. I get it. So sustainability being, so now let's talk about sustainability a little bit more. What are ways that you're seeing building material manufacturers who are manufacturing products that are sustainable? What are the ways they're getting in front of you that you're connecting with, that you're feeling like, and I'll give you an example. I spoke with an architect / designer who was telling me that she needed a pull for something and she just needed this one little pull for this big treatment that she bought. And it was from a totally sustainable company like that. It was way into like doing the right thing and they sent it in a big cardboard box. And she was like, are you kidding me? Like talk about like missing it. Like, and it infuriated her. Right. Yeah, so there's a good example of something not to do. Right. So I guess the question for you is, are there things that are I guess number one, or how are people getting in front of you with products that maybe you didn't know about in a way that is speaking to the sustainability in a way that you're connecting with it?
You know, Lana and I, we do a lot of trade shows. So we are like actively going out there to see the products that we are using. So for me, I think it's like, because we are involved in going to the trade shows, we're out there and we're actually seeing these products. And then I do feel fortunate because we have relationships with these companies, and we're a member of the trade. So we have representatives, and then they're able to kind of inform us and give us like lessons about like, what is this, right? And I will say that like just from a building standpoint, like there are small things that you can do that can make sustainability achievable, right? But a lot of people think that, oh, if you go this way, it's too expensive. So like, is it like is it a smart thing to do to like spend this on this material, or to spend like, let's say, to spend more on a material that you can get for slightly less, but it's the same quality, and maybe the one company doesn't send something in a cardboard box, then that's the way you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Like in a huge, that seems crazy.
So if I'm hearing it, sustainability, really important. Ways that people are showing you kind of what they're about. Trade shows, one way. Sounds like another way is reps getting in touch with you. Is anybody sending you stuff in the mail, or are they sending you emails? Or are they sending you, is there any?
A lot of emails, and I'm getting a lot of, actually I get, they send me packages of like their materials, and I can actually feel things and touch it and really like do my homework on what the materials are, or yeah.
So you like when you receive things in the mail that kind of help you understand, because let's face it, it's tactile business, right? You want to, it's hard to see it on a screen and understand what
Oh, absolutely.
acoustic
And
block material is, or yeah.
room, like to trade rooms or to like to showrooms in general.
So you're traveling and going to showrooms and seeing things in person.
Yeah,
You have,
relations
I'm sorry?
and building relationships with the reps.
Yeah, right. So what is, if, just in closing, I've got one question left for you, which is, if you're thinking about a product and you want to spec it, you want to show it to a customer and you want to include it in a job, you go on someone's website. What are the mandatory things you want to see on that site that it's going to help you sell through the job or feel comfortable that the product's right for you?
It's a good question. So we tend to use the same companies because we know what they are selling. We know the quality of the product. If I'm going to use somebody new, which actually happened recently, I just want to make sure that like it's on brand with what our company is doing. And of course, like I want to make sure that I'm not overcharging my clients for their material. So that's it for us. We just want to make sure that it's on brand, that it's like touching our ethos, right? Because we want to make sure that like we're not your average design firm, right?
Right. You guys hit an upscale audience is kind of where you yes. play. Yeah. Now, so yeah. on the website, when you look, what, I guess specifically, do you expect to see spec sheets? Do you expect to see
yes.
What else?
I want to see what the materials are that are being used. Of course, your spec sheets, price per square foot, of course, because we need to price everything out. That's what I need to see.
What about visualizers? Does that help you when you see the product in use on a site, or do you not care about that?
I don't, I don't care about that personally because I can build, like, I am a visualizer, right? I can see it. However, I will say that a lot of people need the visualizer, so those are good things to have.
And is there any manufacturer's site that you've seen recently that's blown you away that you're like, wow? Or is there any manufacturer that communicated with you about a new product of theirs in any way that you've been like, wow, this is great? Whether they sent it in the mail, invited you to showroom, sent you a link to your website, anything stick out in your head right now that's wowed you?
You know, it's funny, and it's something that most people have access to, but we recently ordered a table from our house, and it's a company that we would never usually consider. But I looked at, I kind of started doing a little bit of homework on their website, and I was like, oh, wow, like they use sustainable materials, like it's a beautiful product, and it's not outrageously expensive. The other, like, this is just kind of regarding more soft finishes, it's Verellen. Verellen has a beautiful, beautiful product. And it's all made in North Carolina. So those are the companies where I've walked into their spaces and I'm like, oh, I want to live in this store. Like, I want to live here.
So it checked the boxes for you. It sounds like it checked the boxes that it was sustainable. It's locally manufactured.
Yes.
They have it. Yes. How did they get in front of you? What was you
know, I walked into their showrooms.
So
that's it. I walked in.
You just popped into their showroom to.
Yes.
That was that. Okay.
Just to check it out. And then, like, when it comes to harder finishes, I like the Tile Shop, actually. Like, I think the Tile Shop, it hits the boxes, right? They have a lot of sustainable products. Not everything is, but they have a lot of products that are. They are in stock. So when you order from them, you receive your product within 4 weeks. And they have a huge warehouse on the East Coast that they hold stock for. And then they have a warehouse in Nevada that it doesn't have quite as much, but it does have a lot. And they have a representative that's speaking to me directly. And if I have an issue, I can just reach out to them.
Now, but that rep of yours, is that someone online that you speak to over the phone or in person?
She calls, she emails me. And honestly, when she first started, she was kind of harassing me. She was very, very like in my face, like, hey, I want to work with you. Hey. And finally I was like, all right, tell me about your product. Tell me about it. So I can know what it is. And
interesting.
Through her just kind of sending me emails, through her calling, through the website, sending me emails, I was like, okay, let's see what you have and I can give this a shot.
Okay, I lied. Last question. What is your favorite product 2022 that you're looking at right now? What's the product that's jumping out at you 2022?
So funny thing is Faro and Ball, the paint.
Okay.
The
Why?
paint company. It's just beautiful. Like this is a strange thing to say, but it is very sexy paint.
Okay.
It's very sexy paint, and it's a really high quality. Obviously you don't think paint is sustainable. It is not, but when you have a higher finish in the quality of your paint, then you don't have to go and paint in another 10 years.
How were you exposed to it? What was your first?
Their branding. It's their branding.
Yeah.
And same thing, right? It's first of all, my Instagram knows that I like design, right? Instagram literally puts things in front of me and then I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
So their imagery captivated you and
yes. And then when you start looking at it, you're like, oh, this is actually a really high quality of a product. And when you use like a solid product like that, then is paint sustainable? Hell no. But obviously we all need to paint our homes, right? And I'd say that if you can paint your home and it's a solid quality finish and not have to paint it again in 5 years, then it's better for the environment, right?
It works for me. Thank you so much. If any of our guests would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way they could reach you?
Everybody can reach me at Judi, Judi, at iconicadesignstudio.com. And that email is icon, ICA, designstudio.com.
Wonderful. Judi, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Constructing Brands. Your feedback is how we thrive. So please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. And if you want access to even more great information, go to constructingbrands.com.